you can't help but laugh, right? Because when it comes to being a fan of like Undertale and Deltarune and stuff like that, it's one of those situations where it's such a like now like somewhat popular media that people dig so deeply and heavily into that, you know, they fully expect, you know, for whatever reason by the end of it to come out with every single answer to every question they've ever asked, when in reality, not only is that probably not gonna happen the more that you sit with this series, it's more, we're digging sometimes too hard into things, you know what I'm saying? And it can get a little crazy, right? Now, not to say that my predictions and my assumptions about a year ago when we were first talking about chapter 5 are or aren't crazy or anything like that. Some of them are more crazy than others. Some of them are pretty relatively tame, but all in all, the fact that I was wrong about a majority of my guesses is the craziest thing. Pretty much almost nothing that I requested, almost nothing, was present within this chapter. And that's fine. I'm totally okay with that, right? I'm not upset about that in any way, shape, or form. It's just really funny to look back on, right? If you've been with this channel, you would probably notice that my second most popular video is things that I would like to see in chapter 5 of Deltarune. And pretty much that did its thing. It went crazy, whatever. We are now about a week out from chapter 5. Everybody's pretty much done everything, gotten their general secrets, done every little tidbit of interactions that they could, did the secret boss, and had their time dissecting as much as humanly possible. And I'm sure that the theory crafters are cooking up the craziest videos you have ever seen, right? Everybody's coming out of the woodworks right now to talk about some Deltarune. And my mistake, right, was not talking more generally about Deltarune, you know, waiting on its release, right? I made the 2 videos. I initially didn't think they would do anything. One of them kind of did something, right? Regardless, that's not what we're here to talk about. I decided to have a little fun, go back to my previous video and see what I got right and got wrong, right? So I have my everything listed here in a mostly non-organized fashion. So we're just gonna have fun and just chit chat about everything that I got wrong in terms of my predictions for this most recent chapter, right? Now, to start things off, here are 3 things that I actually ended up getting correct, right? I was certain that we would not be seeing pretty much anything in regards to the prophecy. Obviously, in the last chapter, they revealed just how heavy the prophecy was in regards to our specific journey, and how it ends is going to directly affect the fun gang in a very likely negative way if it's not changed, right? And it's something Ralsei has been scared of for quite some time, and he has been doing everything to keep Chris and Susie just having a good time, just having their adventures together, getting to know them, and developing his own character, but simultaneously just consistently praying that something completely out of his control goes wrong so that the prophecy might be able to change, because the path that they're going on now is pretty much leading directly into a very bad potential situation. When we got this general reveal at the end of chapter 4, I 100% knew for a fact this is a massive thing. We're not gonna see this until maybe chapter 7, probably, if that, you know what I'm saying? Like, something's gonna happen and that we're gonna be like, oh, this is the prophecy right here, and then we're gonna find a way to change it after the initial reveal. And we're not gonna know the prophecy by somebody talking about it. The prophecy is gonna happen in front of us. It's gonna be very bad, and it's gonna be just awful or something. Maybe not even, maybe not awful. No, it's probably awful. If Ralsei really wanted to hide that from them, and Susie was just like, no way. You know what I'm saying? Breaking the glass that the prophecy was shown on to the point where her hand bled, right? Like, it's something crazy. But I knew we weren't going to see anything on that. I 100% knew that with my entire heart. So that's fine. I totally get that. Next thing that I have listed here is that we would not be learning anything about the knight in this chapter. 100% correct on that. This is pretty obvious. These are pretty like safe bets that I made, right? I knew for a fact that we wouldn't get any general information on who the knight's identity or anything even generally hinting towards what the knight could be, because again, like, like everything that was going on in like the end of like chapter 3 and like how much screen time the knight had in chapter 4, I was like, they're gonna take a break on that. There's no way we're gonna learn anything critical in regards to the knight. We're gonna do something entirely different, right? And that's, again, totally fine with that. We still have 2 full chapters to get any form of general information. Probably, we'll definitely probably know what the knight's deal is by chapter 7, right? I did make a predictions video, or like a hopes and wishes video recently, so make sure to go check that out if you want to see any guesses and hopes that I might have. But that's where I was at with that, right? And then the last thing is that I was 100% right that we were gonna get a just phenomenal amount of Noelle and Susie content at this festival, and I am more than pleased and satisfied with the outcome of everything that happened here. It was so damn cute, and I knew for a fact it was going to be a phenomenal time, and we would want to get just more and more and more of it to a breaking point where we finally had, you know, the lake scene with the 2 of them, the proper lake scene, not the not the weird root scene. I'm talking the actual scene. You know what I'm saying? Only for that to end in some form of unfortunate situation. What with, obviously, Noelle getting the call from Carol that Rudy was, you know, either back in the hospital or maybe back at home. Something happened, Rudy fell, right? We don't know the extent of the danger with that, but obviously, you know, it was concerning enough for Noelle to leave, you know, her crush that she just admitted feelings for, right? So, yeah, that's big time. But we got a very significant amount of Susie and Noelle shenanigans during the festival, and I could not be a happier camper, brother. Phenomenal time, absolutely. It was grand, and we with it. We with it, big dog. So, now that I've talked about everything that I've gotten correct, I've got, let's number it out, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 things. 11 other things that I got wrong. Let's just speed run through this. So, first thing I got wrong, one of my hopes was that the festival was going to be the epicenter of the Dark World this time around. You know, in the moment, I didn't consider the fact, I mean, I did say it, but I didn't really think and consider how massive it would have been for the entire town to get caught up in a Dark World, right? That's not something they would do for chapter 5. That's too early. Right? We would probably, it would end up being like maybe another like chapter 2 situation where maybe at the very end, probably the knight would probably end up, we would end up completing plans by the end of, or you know, Chris, Carol, and the knight, and whoever else is working with the trio would probably end up finishing their plans of gathering whoever they needed to, especially because they just got Asgore. Again, don't know what the plot is there, but they did just nab Asgore. And now plans are probably closer to complete, so they might have an excuse to start a Dark World that involves most of the town or something. Who knows? But maybe not. You know what I'm saying? And the fact that I was casually just like, oh yeah, no, like the festival has to be the Dark World. The festival is right smack dab in the middle of town. Why would they do that? That was a crazy thought that I had back then. There was no way they were gonna do something like that. Jesus, Past Soul is a demon with the guesses, bro. That one was out of pocket, and I'm glad I was wrong on that one. What we got here was much more proper. I think this was a much more fitting tone and scenario for this chapter. This was very perfect, right? Next thing that I have here is that I was talking about how, you know, Noelle, I guess this is kind of a 2-in-1 deal here. I was kind of hoping that Noelle would be more involved with this upcoming Dark World because, you know, we figured that because her and Susie were going to be together during the festival because of the, you know, events of chapter 4, we figured they would be together at the point that the Dark World ended up coming to fruition. So we figured that Noelle would be more involved this time, only for Noelle to actually have an excuse not to be here or present for the other half of this chapter. So, you know, obviously Noelle was not present. But on top of that, I was talking some crazy nonsense about Noelle potentially showcasing more potential strength than Ralsei. Brother, I'm an idiot. I am certified dumbass for that comment, because we got a glimpse, right? The whole chapter was Flowery baiting the hell out of Ralsei, because, you know, Flowery maxed out, quote unquote, his stats so that, you know, he would be this almighty, all-powerful thing that could he was pretty much playing in creative mode to make everything as fun and as comfortable for Asgore as humanly possible, emphasis on humanly, so that he wouldn't want to leave and go back to the world of light, so that he could be happy with them, with the flowers that he's given so much love and care to. They wanted to give that back to Asgore. So, you know, Flowery maxed his stats out, and Ralsei was getting pissed because he's made it very clear, I am obviously capable of completely breaking this. I can do anything. I can do that, but it takes away part of the purpose of what I'm trying to do. So the fact that you're doing this is weird and annoying and frustrating. And he was frustrated because he wanted to do that, you know, to just break everything, to make everything comfortable and easy for the sake of doing it. But he can't do that, right? For specific reasons, right? So, you know, we did get a glimpse of Ralsei's true strength when he protected Susie from the oncoming shuriken. And that boy got it under wraps. He's there. We are not in, I'm gonna say it like this, no, we were never in danger. we as a party, the Fun Gang is never in danger, bruh. So, yeah. This is real interesting. That Noelle's probably strong, not as strong as Ralsei. Foolish comment, my B, gangtastic, my B. All right, so that's another thing that was kind of crazy. That was a 2-in-1. Another thing I was wrong about was Toriel acknowledging the situation with Sans from the other night. It was kind of acknowledged, but not really. As a matter of fact, it was to the point where Toriel was barely in the chapter, right? We got a little bit of a moment with her at the very beginning when Chris cooked the toast for her, and we got that little moment of her seeming a little, at least a little apologetic for everything, but it was more of just like her being a little frustrated that, you know, the family feels like it's separating a little bit, and she felt a little lonely, so Sans filled that comfort with a night of jokes and laughter and drinks and dance, right? So it's like, you know, she wasn't necessarily sorry for it. She was just a little upset that Chris didn't want to be a part of that, and that Azrael being off to college couldn't be a part of that, and that even probably to an extent Asgore, you know, mixed feelings that she likely does have about him couldn't be comfortably a part of that because of, you know, the general situation, the divorce, right? So yeah, that one's fair. That one's fine. I can definitely live with that. I think that's, we might get a little more acknowledgement of the relationship, you know, straining a little bit between Chris and their mom, or specifically Toriel, maybe in a couple of chapters from now. We'll see what happens, but we'll have to play that one by ear. But yeah, I was wrong about that. That's totally fine, right? Another thought I had, or like a hope that I had, was that Papyrus would be present at this festival, since everybody was going to be present at this festival, everybody in town. Completely wrong on that. Not everybody was a part of this festival. There was a lot of people, sure, but Papyrus, nowhere to be seen. If Papyrus is even here, we still don't even know who's actually in that. Well, do we? I don't know. It's been a while since I've actually checked on that dialogue. But regardless, Papyrus was not part of the festival. But, you know, I think maybe, I haven't looked into any theories or any thoughts on this, like, this passing comment that Chris made when they were thinking about the Ferris ride, when Susie and Noelle were on it. And they were thinking about how Sans doesn't seem qualified to, you know, oversee the Ferris wheel, and that there was somebody else the previous year, or potentially even previous years, plural, pretty much working the Ferris wheel. It could have been Papyrus. It could have been somebody entirely different and completely unimportant. Who knows? It could have been Mettaton. Who knows? You know what I'm saying? Like, it's a weird situation with that, right? But it could be a big nothing burger. Point is, Papyrus is not here, we may not even see Papyrus in this game. I'm not holding my breath on that anymore. Papyrus is not going to show up, and he's probably not even going to be important if he does. That's nothing crazy, I think. So, yeah, I'm going to leave it at that, right? This is going to be a 2-in-1 as well. I was talking about how we definitely needed to see a little bit more delved into in regards to, you know, the involvement of Carol with Chris and potentially the Knight and stuff like that. And in a very similar vein, you know, the situation with Des, what happened to her, what the involvement is there, if there is any. Neither of them, as we know at this current point in time, was involved or even mentioned really in this chapter, outside of a passing comment from Asgore, obviously because Asgore works for Carol, right? And on top of that, obviously Carol being worried for Rudy calling Noelle, and also, you know, the fact that Rudy had calmed her down, right? Because we were completely under the impression that Carol was going to be much more of a vicious presence within this chapter because of Susie's comment about Noelle going to the festival with her. And so, you know, we figured like, oh yeah, no, Carol's going to make this a problem. But Rudy, smooth big dog that he is, talked her down. He talked her down. He said, listen, that's our girl. Let her be our girl. Let her do her. You know what I'm saying? Like, we ain't got to make it a big thing. It kind of worked, you know? Carol just left her be. So that's fire. That's fire that happened. But again, Carol was not physically present within this chapter this time around. And that's okay. That's totally fine. Shouldn't have even considered that, I don't think. You know? So, I just think it's kind of funny that I was just like, oh yeah, we gotta see her more next year. No, why would we? You know what I'm saying? No, the next thing I have listed here is that we got no info on Rudy. I was kind of hoping that we might delve more into, you know, what's going on with Rudy, and I figured it might have been kind of a more sad situation that Rudy would not be a part of the festival, but I was completely wrong. Rudy did have his time during the festival when he was putting up lights, making sure everything went smoothly so that Noelle could be confident in having a fun time with Susie, right? So, that, you know, didn't happen. Rudy was perfectly, well, not perfectly fine per se. He was definitely present during the festival, but as we know, like a quarter in, he got that, Carol called Noelle immediately after, you know, getting the information that Rudy had fallen, and yeah, we don't know what Rudy's condition is right now, so we're a little worried about that. Rudy might be involved in the next chapter. Obviously, we are going to have to interact with Noelle one way or another. It's very obvious that Susie is very intent on bringing somebody else to, you know, witness what's going on with the Dark World and stuff like that. So, in some way, shape, or form, we're gonna end up talking to Noelle in the Light World. And we're probably, by proxy, going to end up seeing the state that Rudy is in. Whether it be at her house, whether it be at the hospital. I forgot to mention this, or at least I didn't consider this possibility in my hopes and wishes. But I think another potential Dark World maybe could be the Holiday Household. That could be cool too, right? It's going to be one of three. It's probably, now I'm thinking it's going to be the Holiday Household, it's going to be the hospital, or it's going to be the bunker. And I don't think it's going to be the bunker. Now, I'm really leaning against the bunker. That's got to be chapter 7. But I mean, again, it's hard to say because now we have the bunker code, so it could be anything, you know? But I imagine Chris would definitely want to stall until plans are completed before they get to the bunker. So I imagine a visit to the hospital and them utilizing a Dark World there could be prime. But we'll see what happens. That's a scary thought because it could get really dark really fast as a hospital setting Dark World. That could be really bad. I don't know. But we'll see what happens, yo. Who knows? But Rudy was not brought up too much in this chapter. After that, we are now worried about him. So hopefully we get more information on his whereabouts, on his health, and maybe we could touch into maybe a potential way to fix what's going on with him, right? So we'll play into that when we can, right? another thing that we got was that we didn't necessarily get information about, what exactly happened to make Asgore, lose his job as police captain and essentially, fall into being a maid just to, get by and make ends meet to keep the flower shop running and things like that. But we did see a little bit of development on Asgore's part in understanding that everything that happened actually wasn't his fault. Now that he got confirmation that the Dark Worlds aren't a thing and that he's not crazy, that he's not the only one that's witnessed it, now that he's seen Chris and Susie within the Dark World as well confirmed, he now knows, like, okay, this was something that was really completely out of my control. And while I do want to get to the bottom of what happened, everything that I did leading up to, me losing my mind over this kind of made me throw my life away a little bit, And so we got a little bit of development from Asgore out of this entire chapter, which was a beautifully written chapter. Like this was it, dude. I ended up going back through it. I cried. Like, it was so, like, wow, like, this is tough. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's okay that we didn't get all the information. I feel like it would be kind of boring if we got every single tidbit of information through, this. But it was interesting learning about Asgore and his involvement with the Dark Worlds and learning more lore about the Dark Worlds in general, being a lot older than we probably anticipated, right? The original one, Castletown, and even the Cyber World has probably been present for a lot longer than we understand, So it's very, very, very interesting what we've got going on here, right? So it's a crazy situation, but no, we didn't get the direct information on what happened with Asgore. Gotta live with it. We'll probably get some more context later. We'll see, right? The next thing that I have is that I was hoping that we might get a hint or something as to what Ralsei is. And, I don't think this one was all that crazy. Like, we were definitely getting into some deeper territory, especially when it came to the development and the relationship between Ralsei and Flowery, because, Flowery was very open about, being the Darkner, being like, this abusive, this like mechanic abusing figure, this entity that could do whatever he wants, and getting away with that, and Ralsei definitely being able to do the same thing, but feeling like he can't for very specific reasons. I was hoping that, talking more about this would lead to learning more about what Ralsei actually is, And the only thing that we really learned is that, initially he went by Prince Ralsei and stuff like that when we first met him in the initial Dark World in Chapter 1, and we were like, why is it that he doesn't have, a royal guard or anything like that? And stuff like that. It's because he has some relation to Asriel, who now, as we know, was considered a prince alongside Chris because of the King and Queen festival, or the King and Queen event at the festival that Toriel and Asgore participated in and won, right? So, that's why the flower shop that Asgore runs is called King Flower and stuff like that. That's where it got its name, was because of that, And so we figured I figured there's maybe some potential in maybe learning about this, but no, we did not get a single bit of information on what Ralsei's light form is. We just know that he's not a direct object. So maybe he's some very strong manifestation or something. That's the only thing I could think of right now, but I don't know. There's some strong theories out there. Somebody got the answer a long time ago and we just have no idea. So for now, we're just kind of waiting on confirmation to see who got it right. But as of right now, we still have no idea. But we still love Ralsei in this house, right? Especially his developments. He developed so well in this chapter. It's so good. And lastly, we did not indeed get to see Noelle play into her role. We did not, again, get her really involved in the Dark World aspects this time around, so we still don't know what entirely her deal is, or what her role is in the prophecy. We generally seem to have a consensus that Noelle is supposed to be the primary hero. It's not supposed to be Susie, but Susie being present kind of forced her way in, which is why, she's able to make decisions despite, Chris being the one that's supposed to be making the decisions, being the leader. Susie can completely bypass that, and that's because it's not supposed to be Susie, it's supposed to be Noelle. That's the common consensus so far anyways, right? So, you know, and it's also kind of proven in Weirdroot that Noelle is supposed to have a much stronger involvement, but we don't see that in this chapter, or at least not in you know, Prime Root. You know, maybe Weirdroot tells us more. Again, I have not delved into that too much at all, because I'm a weenie. But we didn't get much info on that, so this is kind of another wait and see situation. There's a solid chance of Noelle getting a little bit more involved in the upcoming chapter, so we'll play that by ear and see if she does anything, has any important involvement with the party in the next chapter. But I don't know, it just, that the ending of this chapter might have been a little bit of a tease to make us think that Noelle might be more involved, only for her to get sidelined for some very specific reason, so that we could have our usual party of Chris, Noelle, or Chris, Susie, and Ralsei. So I don't know, it's a play by ear with that, a play by ear situation as well. We simply, either she will be very, there is no in between here. She will be extremely present and a very heavy like presence within chapter 6, or she won't be there at all. There is zero in between. I really do believe that. So it's gonna be a real interesting chapter. But so far, that's everything that I noted from that previous video that I got completely wrong. Hopefully, you know, I won't mind transferring some of those hopes and wishes over to chapter 6. There's a lot of things that I would like to know, a lot of things that I would like to see, a lot of questions that I would like to have answered, but I'm not going to completely bank on it. Obviously, Toby and the team have been telling a phenomenal story so far, and they've been doing a great job at it, and I want them to do it however they need to do it. However the story gets to us, hey, if it leaves us with theories for years to come back to again and again, that's cool too. Hopefully we don't have too many major plot points or, like, you know, questions that go completely unanswered. Hopefully we get a solid ending though. I have a lot of faith in that ending. Hopefully we get something solid, but we'll play that by ear. That's enough out of me though. The mic is in your hands now, and I'm asking y'all how you guys are feeling about, you know, everything that I've mentioned so far. Were my my hopes and wishes from this chapter a little too out there to even remotely be answered and things like that, or referred to? Was it something that I definitely just should have not had my hopes up for, and that some of these were just that ridiculous? Or are you on the opposing side? Some of the things that I've asked for here weren't all that crazy. You were a little antsy to hear a lot about this information as well, and you were a little more frustrated that you didn't get to see this stuff. Tell me everything that you guys are thinking in the comment section below, because you know for a fact that I'm always going to be down there with you guys. But with that, yes ma'am, it does appear to be skedaddle o'clock, so I'm going to go ahead and do just that. I'd like to thank you guys ever so much for watching. I truly do hope you enjoyed. Do me the greatest favor of dropping a like and a comment, and consider subscribing for more content just like this here. And with that, I'm gone. So thanks again, hope you enjoyed, and I'll be seeing you guys in the next video. Do me the greatest favor of taking good ass care, and I'll see you all next time.